Hello, all you changing faces out there of good and evil. And welcome to Undeclared Bajor.
If evil really wants to listen, I guess you can listen.
Yeah, just listen from far away. But this is Undeclared Bajor, the best Star Trek DS9 discussion podcast. My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data.
What up?
Tonight we're going to discuss Star Trek DS9, Season 7, Episode 20, The Changing Face of Evil. Alternate title, Midnight Rondak.
I don't get it.
Mm-hmm. It's like Midnight Run, but Midnight Rondak.
Rondak, okay.
I was also gonna do what Chintakin about Willis.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or taking it on the Chintaka, or Chintaka about a bad day.
I think that may have been the best of the Chintaka puns. Clearly, you had some struggles this time around.
Yeah, it was a little bit rushed.
There must be some Breen puns you could get gone after, I feel like.
Yeah, it seems like it, doesn't it?
I mean, it's easy for me to backseat drive or Monday night quarterback, whatever the terms are for that sort of thing.
Right. Oh, if you think of any, let me know. So.
Okay.
But this episode originally aired April 28th, 1999. It was written by Ira Steven Behr and Hans Beimler, that classic duo. And directed by Mike Vehar, once again. So he's just Mike now. He's not Michael anymore.
Yeah. What about Breen Sweep? Like a clean sweep, but a Breen Sweep.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, see.
It's as good as anything else we got.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, Cirroc Lofton not in the episode.
No Cirroc Lofton. Cirroc Lofton in the episode.
Maybe he stole William Travis. Did you ever think of that, O'Brien?
Oh my gosh. How deep does this conspiracy go? We will be discussing spoilers up through this episode, but not after this episode, so theoretically, it's safe to watch along with us if this is your first time watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine. But sometimes we also spoil other stuff. Like I've been watching the new Dexter show, which by the time this comes out will be all the way finished probably, but...
Does Dexter kill some people?
Dexter kills Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
The actor?
Yes. Was that the spoiler I did last time? I don't even remember.
I have no idea. Because we talked about that outside of this, so I don't remember if that was something that came up outside or inside.
And Jessica Jones goes to jail.
Oh.
Yep.
Jessica Jones, the Marvel character?
Yep.
This show really brings a lot of things in. You got an actor, you got a Marvel comic book character, and a serial killer.
Yeah, it's crazy. But first things first, how would you rate the title, The Changing Face of Evil?
I mean, I guess it makes sense. And once again, this is one that I feel like they got a couple levels going on. The Breen have finally begun to throw in on the war, and It shows the Federation Alliance just how seriously things have changed. So that works. And then you got Dukat has changed his face and is evil, and then she finds out who he really is in this one, and so there's some stuff there. I feel like there's a few levels that it works on, so I think it's fairly clever. I think
we got the changelings, obviously.
Yes, and that's actually the one drawback that I had was since we have changelings as the bad guys for a lot of this show, that could be a lot of things. That could be a lot of episodes, but. No, I feel like it's fitting, it's clever, and it's fairly memorable in that if you say that, I'm like, oh, that's an episode of Deep Space Nine. I don't know that I could say it's this episode of Deep Space Nine, but I remember that title is an episode of Deep Space Nine, so it's halfway there on the memorability.
Well, the problem with these episodes is they're getting to the point where they're hard to tell apart. So
it's true, yeah.
I'd say cleverness very high. I bet whoever came up with that was really proud of themselves. I wonder if someone came up with that and they were like, oh man, the enemies are the changelings. We got to do a changing face of evil thing. And then they were like, oh no, let's hold on to it until the right opportunity. And then they had this Ducat stuff, and like the Breen showing up. They're like, now. Is changing face of evil an actual saying? I mean, it sounds like it is, but
I was actually just looking to see if I could find anything about the source for the title, if it was like a reference to something, and I cannot find anything offhand that is referencing. If I Google that, the only thing that comes up is Deep Space Nine related. So, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it sounds like something, but I can't ever remember hearing anybody say that, so... But yeah, so there's no previously on this week, so I guess they just trust us to be caught up with what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not caught up after 3 weeks of setup, then we can't help you with like a 5-second previously on.
Right. I was like, well, maybe the episode's just so jam-packed that they didn't have time for one. But then there were a lot of shots of just like people walking down halls and stuff and not talking. So I was like, well, okay, maybe they needed those shots for the mood. I don't know.
I think you really need the shots of the people walking. It's important. It's like the Lord of the Rings.
But okay, so the airlock door rolls open, and Worf and Ezri finally set foot back home on good old DS9. Miles and Julian are there to welcome them back, and seemingly to curtail any accusations that anyone thought that Worf and Ezri were for sure dead and never coming back.
No, yeah, nobody thought that. No one would ever think such a thing.
Also, we learned that Morn accurately predicted the exact day and almost the hour that Worf and Ezri would come home, which makes me very suspicious about Morn, but whatever.
Morn's got... I mean, if Morn was working with the Dominion, then he would not have thought they'd ever come home. So, you know? Unless he made this recently, like since they escaped, I suppose.
Like Morn is like the master of whispers or something.
He hears things.
Then Captain Sisko makes a fashionably late entrance and welcomes them home. It implies there may be some uncomfortable discussions at Ezri's next performance review.
You have a 2 on follows directions.
Right.
Out of 10.
I had to mark you down on that just because of, but I gave you high score on your lead behaviors, so... And Sisko was also eager to hear everything Worf and Ezri know about the new Breen-Dominion alliance. And they're like, well, that's pretty much it right there. Sounds like you already know everything we do.
There is one. The end.
Right. I saw some Breen and I saw some Dominion, and they seem to be getting along, so...
They hung us upside down and told us to try to do it, and it was really awkward.
I will tell you, the Breen are much more competent at holding prisoners than the Dominion is.
Yeah, don't get captured by the Breen if you're going to get captured, is what I'm getting.
Go surrender to the Jem'Hadar.
Yeah.
Sisko also wonders why Damar would suddenly help them, and Worf and Ezri speculate on possible motives that pretty much line up with everything we've seen happen, except for the alcoholism and the Damar having sex with his clothes on parts.
Yeah, they didn't want to get into too much detail, you know?
Right. We did hear gossip that Damar was like doing it with his full clothes on, but it just feels wrong to gossip about that. Ezri and Julian have an awkward little moment, each apparently having realized independently that they're in love with each other. Then Kira calls over the comm and says, hey, I don't know if any of you guys would be interested in this, but apparently the Breen just attacked Earth. And then everybody just kind of stands there looking at each other, kind of like, Oh
no, Earth has fallen. Like, she wasn't super specific with her. Maybe she didn't have super specific information at that point, but it's like, that could mean almost anything. Like, one Breen showed up and shot up the place, or like, the entire planet has been destroyed. We don't know.
Yep. But they're like, man, I wonder what's going on there. So later, Sisko watches the news with Martok, or I guess it's just a live feed from Starfleet headquarters.
Something.
Where we see that some buildings are on fire. The Golden Gate Bridge looks kind of damaged. So
it looks real damaged.
There's a big hole in it.
It just reminded me, great. There's a scene in a Lower Decks episode where they're back on Earth, and one of the characters, her dad is an admiral, and she's in his office complaining about something, and they look out the window and there's the Golden Gate Bridge, and she's like, why do we even have that? Like, nobody drives cars anymore. Why is that thing still there? And he's like, what? I like the bridge. It's a great bridge. It's like, but we don't need the bridge. So yeah, it's just the whole fun.
It's a historic monument, and it's a, you can go like hang out at that like little park that's down by the bridge, and
since nobody drives anymore, I assume it's like a walking bridge or something.
True. Although I don't know. I mean, I know you can. I've been to the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't think I walked on it, but
I mean, it'd be a real long way to walk.
Yeah, I'm fine looking at it from like the bottom of it because that's where the best view is. But
maybe it's like a horseback riding thing now, where it's just part of a. I'm just like, it seems weird to have a giant bridge and not use it, but you're not driving across it, so you gotta find some use.
Yeah. So yeah, Martok says we learned one thing today: the Breen are a race of warriors.
I was 100% sure like the Breen have balls, like, big dilithium balls.
And then Bashir walks in. He's like, actually, they do not. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a leap to say that they are a race of warriors, especially considering that most of the attack force was apparently destroyed, but whatever.
I mean, yeah, if you attack Earth, if your attack fleet was not destroyed after attacking Earth, that would be a problem.
Yeah, for Earth.
For Earth, yeah, right.
Martok also says that even though they don't know much about the Breen, every species has a weakness. And Sisko says, well, we better find it soon.
Well, I was like, is that true? Does every like, what's the human weakness? What's the Klingon weakness? I'm not, like, this isn't a video game where it's like, oh, this boss, you gotta, like, find the weak point.
Yeah, shoot them in the eyeball.
Yeah. Shooting them in the eyeball works for most of the races in Star Trek, as far as I know. Maybe not the Breen. I don't know.
You got to bring the Breen kryptonite or something. Meanwhile, Weyoun and his new BFF Thought Gore are also watching the news and are very happy at the psychological, if not totally strategic, value of the attack. Weyoun tells Thought Gore to congratulate his troops, and Thought Gore is like, you mean all the guys who died on that suicide mission? Sure, I'll do that. Damar, for his part, is not super impressed.
Yeah, it does make you wonder about the tactical sense of this. Everyone, like, Weyoun thinks it's awesome, and of course, the Federation Alliance are like, oh, this is horrible. The Breen could, like, penetrate that deep behind our lines and with a major attack. But it's like, if you could do that, maybe you should have exploited it in a way that would get you something other than, like, hearts and minds or whatever. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, they definitely seem to be on a psychological based strategy this episode.
I mean, maybe that's the Breen specialty for all we know.
And what was it, the Doolittle raid where they bombed Tokyo right after the Pearl Harbor attack just to show that they could?
Oh, was that? I didn't realize that was right after the Pearl Harbor attack. I do remember the Doolittle raid. I didn't remember when it was.
Yeah, I think it was like immediately after. Like it was the retaliation for the Pearl Harbor attack.
Okay, it was like 4 months later, but in terms of war, that is pretty quick. Yeah.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought it was like right after. But
December 41, of course, is Pearl Harbor, and then April 42 is the Doolittle raid.
So yeah, Weyoun leaves the room, and Damar tells Thought Gore, "Hey, so just so you know, the Dominions sang the praises of Cardassia also, but then it became our fault when the war wasn't immediately over. It'll happen to you too." And Thought Gore is like, "Dude, we're just here to steal the silverware. We're gonna be long gone by the time that happens."
Thought Gore's over here like, well, the difference is we don't suck.
That too. Back on DS9, Sisko comes home and finds Cassidy attempting to cook, which is not going well.
Yeah, she burns up the peppers that he like grew specifically.
Yeah, he's not happy about the peppers.
If you're gonna practice cooking, maybe replicate some peppers to start out with, and wait till you're good at it before. I can't tell if this is supposed to be another, like, shot fired in that war of marriage where she's like, I'll show him, I'll burn his peppers. But
I'll make it look like an accident.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, if you're trying out some cooking for the first time, don't go to the box that says, like, Ben's specially grown peppers on it.
Yep.
But yeah, Cassidy's like, yep, lesson learned. You're the cooking guy, not me. And then she mentions that she's leaving on a cargo run in a couple of days, which makes Sisko uneasy. And Cassidy is like, hey, the Breen attacked Earth. They probably won't attack any other places. It'll be fine.
Like, Earth is super far from here, the place near the front lines of the war.
Right.
I'm sure they won't come anywhere close to here.
Mm. On Cardassia, Damar is working in his office when he gets a visit from a guy I'll call Gull Steve. Gull Steve has apparently been sneaking around feeling out loyal anti-Dominion officers they can recruit to their cause. He doesn't like sneaking around, which he feels is very un-Cardassian.
I disagree.
Yeah. Cardassians are definitely not known for being sneaky. This has never been a trait of the Cardassians.
I will note there is a note about this guy. And it says, in keeping with the redefinition of the character of Damar that was taking place, the character of Gul Rusat was created specifically to help sell the idea that Damar could handle the volatile situation he was getting himself in. Bear says, we needed someone who could highlight Damar's strength by putting Damar in a position where he'd have to hold this tiger by the tail and keep him in line. So, Gul Steve is supposed to be, like this tiger. He's raring to go,
Sure. Also, it helps to have at least one other Cardassian for Damar to talk to if he's supposedly organizing, a giant resistance against the Dominion.
Yeah, he should probably have some friends.
Gull Steve worries if they have the strength to take on the Dominion, especially now that the Breen are here. And Damar says, well, we'll be fighting for our homes and our freedom, which gives us the advantage. Which is a nice sentiment, at least.
Yeah, I mean, if you're okay, so as far as we know, there's still no Dominion transit back and forth through the wormhole, right?
Right.
So Damar's like, we're fighting for our home and our freedom, which, yeah, sure, but you're putting the Dominion in a position where they're fighting for literally the only place they have to go, and if they move off of here, they have nowhere. I feel like that makes it worse, actually.
I don't know. They have home field advantage, the Cardassians do. And I've seen the Ewoks take on the Empire and win, so I think the Cardassians can make a good try.
So the Cardassians need to hang some, logs from trees?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they need to decapitate the Jem'Hadar and play their heads like drums.
Well, yeah, that's always intimidating.
Plus, Damar is confident that their cause will only grow as they start to rack up victories against the Dominion. So, Gull Steve says all they need now is the exact location of the weapons emplacements on Rondak 3. Presumably it's where all those giant cannons are, but better to be sure. And Damar says, leave that to me.
I got this.
On Bajor, Kai Wynn is in her office going over the meeting schedule with Solwar. Wynn tells Solwar to just cancel everything, even the address to the Vedic Assembly. And Solwar asks what the Kai will be doing instead, and she quickly says none of your business. But then, without any further prompting, a lie suddenly comes to her, so she says, well, it's none of your business, but if it was your business, the answer would be just studying and meditating. And then Gul Dukat / Angel walks in, and Solwar is like, I see.
Yeah, he's like, I see what you're going to be studying. All right.
This also starts the bizarre new character trait of Wynn, where she suddenly is a bad liar. Which is weird because I struggle to think of a time in the entire series where she's actually told the truth.
No, right, yeah, she's always been the smoothest of liars, so... Yeah, it's...
She's just dumb in general in this episode. It's really weird. I think maybe Dukat in the Pa Wraiths put a, anti-cunning spell on her or something.
It's weird that we're even having the conversation with Solwar, going line by line through her schedule, when what she wants is to cancel my entire... you could have just said that. Cancel everything.
I mean, maybe... she doesn't know what, but maybe there's a meeting she'd want to take. Maybe she had, a meeting with Bajor and Elvis or something that she just didn't want to skip. But she's like, oh, the Vedics, yeah, screw those guys. Wynn tells Solwar to write an apology note to the Vedic Assembly for her, and he's like, yeah, sure. Dear Vedic Assembly, sorry I couldn't make it. I'm busy getting railed by some farmer. Love, Kai Wynn. When Solbor leaves, Dukat calls him a tiresome little man, and Wynn is like, sometimes I think you forget your place, Angel. And Dukat is like, who? Oh, right, me.
Right. Yeah.
I'm Angel. And then he apologizes and says, I am but a moon made warm by the light of your sun. And Wynn says, well, I hope you're a better farmer than you are a poet. Which probably stings, because I bet Dukat was really proud when he came up with that.
He's been working on that for a long time, actually. Yeah.
Right? He's like, ooh. That's one. He's like, he came up with that a long time ago, and he's like, that's the line. I'm gonna hold on to that one for when I really need it.
He's had that in his pocket.
In a romantic situation. You get it one time with every lady you date. Then Wynn complains that she's tired of pretending to be the profit-loving Kai.
It's been 5 whole minutes of like lying, and I'm tired of it.
Right. All this deception, I'm not used to it. And Angel says, well, you won't have to lie much longer once we release the paw wraiths from the fire caves. And Wynn is like, what? But the prophecies say that when that happens, Bajor will be destroyed. And Angel is like, okay.
What did you think we were doing here?
Yeah. He's like, you remember how now we worship the paw wraiths and we think they're good and the prophets are bad? So if the prophets say releasing the paw wraiths is bad, then we actually believe it's good. Right? Are you following me here? And Wynn is like, I guess. And then Angel changes tack. And he's like, okay, well, whatever happens to Bajor, whatever's left, you'll be the ruler of it. And this makes Wynn perk right up. She's like, oh, so how do we get the paw wraiths out of the fire caves? And Angel says, I don't know, but the answer is in the text of the Costa-Mojin. And Wynn is like, what? But that's a bad book. And Dukat is like, oh my Jesus. No, are you not understanding what we're doing here?
I love the idea that Dukat's like, oh my Jesus. He's like, wait, no, I am like paw wraith Jesus.
Also, we learn that only the Kai can open the book of the Costa-Mojin, which is presumably the entire point of everything Dukat is doing.
Yeah, I assume that's why he's here in the first place.
Yeah. Dukat says, don't be afraid. I'll be right there with you. And Wynn says, did I say I was afraid? And it's like, I mean, sure, I guess you didn't technically say that, but you were giving off some vibes there for a little bit. Dukat tries to laugh pleasantly, but you can tell he's thinking, oh my god, this is the world's stupidest person.
So, did the paw wraiths enchant like the weird paw wraith book so that only the Kai could look at it for some reason? Or is that like the prophets were like, well, we're going to keep this book of how to release the evil people around, but we're going to make sure only the Kai can look at it because probably we can trust the Kai. Like, I just don't know that any party was in a position to magic this book and had a reason to do it in this way.
I would have to say the paw wraiths probably put the magic spell on it. Because I don't think the prophets would be like, you have to murder somebody and then drip their blood on the book to make it visible. But I don't know. These prophets and paw wraiths are all weird, so.
We only want to be released if you can corrupt the Kai. If you can't, well, there's no point.
I think the paw wraiths probably did the magic spell on the book. Because, you know, there might be some information in there that they don't want falling into the wrong hands. And you have to prove you're evil by murdering somebody first.
Well, that's true. You do. Yeah.
And then the just basic tradition says that the Kai is only allowed to read it. Because, you know, presumably it was originally a book for the paw wraith followers. And then it got taken by the prophet worshippers. And they kind of hid it away. And they're like, nobody gets to look at this but the Kai. This is all. This is the best explanation I can come up with.
Well, I mean, and one can only assume that they didn't look in it before making that rule, because if anyone would have looked in it, it would have been like, "Oh, this book is blank."
Well, that was like 700 years ago, wasn't it? So
yeah,
it's possible that information just kind of got forgotten.
I mean, but why keep it if it was blank? Unless they knew that there was a secret like hack to unblank. I don't know. It's weird.
Okay, here's what happens. The paw wraith cult had this book, and the pages are always blank, and you have to prove you're evil by murdering somebody to be able to read it. Then some people from the prophet religion came and stole it, but they were too afraid to look in it. They just knew it was a really powerful book. So they never looked in it. They just put the lock on it. And then they put it in the library where only the Kai was allowed to look at it. And no Kai ever looked at it until now.
Wow.
That's the best I can do.
Nice. Okay. I'm okay with it.
So anyway, at Quark's, Miles and Julian study a model of the Alamo, trying to figure out some way to win. Julian suggests strengthening the south wall, but O'Brien says, but the Mexicans came in through the north wall. And Julian says, well, obviously we're going to strengthen that too. And then I guess the scene is meant to address some of the criticisms that we've been having, because then Quark comes over and he scolds them for playing around with models and stuff when the real war has just taken a really serious turn. And they're like, well, we've been doing tons of work. You just haven't been seeing us do it.
Because you're a bartender and we work like in ops or sick bay or whatever.
Uh-huh. And just, it's so boring that they don't put it on the TV show either.
Yeah.
Then Julian suggests putting a moat around the Alamo. And Quark says, well, maybe you should put a moat around the station. And O'Brien is like, that doesn't make any sense. The station is in outer space. Duh.
Wait, you mean like those mines that we had around the wormhole that one time?
No. This is the one time where just we will not entertain any metaphors. Worf and Ezri watch this whole thing from above, and Worf says that Bashir is a child for playing with toys. Although Ezri at first pretends to think he's talking about Miles. And then Ezri is like, okay, look, Julian is hot, okay? He's hot. I'm not saying there's more to him than that. And I'm starting to suspect that Ezri's feelings aren't really love. It might be something a little less spiritual. But Worf says if it'll make her happy, she should tell the doctor how she feels. And Ezri says, you're a good friend, Worf. And Worf says, I know. And then Worf is like, there's no way they're going to be able to defend that mission from such a superior force. And Ezri's like, dude, just go play with them already.
I mean, yeah, it seems to me like this is the kind of thing Worf could get into.
I mean, we know Worf does battle simulations and stuff in the holosuite. Like historical battle simulations. Like, this is exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I think he's just jealous that he never got invited to the super exclusive Miles and Julian Alamo Club.
Yeah, maybe.
That is just for Vic Fontaine, and that's it. Back on Cardassia, Damar is in the command center looking at the computer, and then Weyoun walks in, and Damar suddenly closes his browser tab. And Weyoun says, Damar, you're up early. And Damar is like, nothing, just looking at porn. Definitely not weapon emplacements. I'm not into that. And then Weyoun is like, I didn't ask what you were doing, but okay.
I don't actually care.
And then Weyoun brings up the interesting fact he's learned, which is that the Breen homeworld isn't actually a frozen wasteland at all. It's actually quite comfortable. Then why the refrigeration suits? Why indeed? Although, honestly, this sounds like one of those made-up, actually facts that people are always spreading around. Like, you're like, oh, the Breen homeworld is a frozen wasteland. And they're like, actually, it's quite comfortable. Nobody knows why the Breen wear those refrigeration suits.
See, I think this may be the conversation that later leads to, like, the books being like, oh, there's actually several different species of Breen, and they all wear, like, these suits so that, you know, no one can tell them apart, or they're all equal, or whatever. And so, like, one of the species does live on a super cold planet, but the other ones don't. And so, yeah. Gotcha. I assume that this is where that came from. But
didn't one of the shows recently, like, explore the Breen or expand them more or something? I seem to remember reading about that.
Well, hold on.
Like Discovery, maybe?
If it was Discovery, it would have been far future that they explored the Breen, and that's one that I haven't made it to quite yet. So let's see what Memory Alpha says. How has the Breen been expanded on? Oh, wait, well, there's a picture I definitely haven't seen of a gelatinous Breen. So yeah, it looks like probably Discovery. Because I've just today finished Prodigy in my Star Trek watch through, which leaves Picard and the last 3 seasons of Discovery as the only things I have left to watch. And so I'm a little bit discouraged going into Picard because I'm just like some of that's going to be a real slog. But hey, I'm getting there. I hadn't seen Prodigy before, so that was interesting. Okay, so yes, it does look like Discovery has gotten into some Breen stuff.
All right. So, yeah, now that you mentioned that, I do seem to remember, like, reading, they were talking about, like, the Breen have a gelatinous form and a solid form or something like that. And when they go into one, they're more vulnerable or something. I don't remember. So, but Weyoun notices something different about Damar today. You're not drunk, and you're not having sex with your clothes on. Aha, you must have regained your confidence now that the war is turning in our favor. And Damar is like, yep, that's it. You have correctly analyzed the situation.
Yep. Well done, Weyoun. Well done.
No need to think about it anymore. On Bajor, Solbor walks into the Kai's office carrying the Book of the Kostamojan. And then the Kai says, well, put it on my desk, which for some reason is a line I found really funny. And Solbor is like, well, I'm a little worried about you reading this book of pure evil. And Wynn is like, yeah, whatever, just give me the book. And Solbor says, there's a saying that he who studies evil is studied by evil. Bajor and Nietzsche said that. And Wynn is like,
love that guy.
Great, I'll keep that in mind. Put the book on my desk now. And then Angel says, don't worry, if there's any super evil in the book, I will be here to keep the Kai safe. And Solbor says, well, actually, I'm glad you spoke up, because that dovetails with my other major concern, which is, who is this guy? And Wynn is like, look, he's the guy I'm boning, and that's the book I want to read. It's what the prophets want. If you don't like it, go pray to the prophets for forgiveness. So Solbor leaves, and Angel says, Solbor does not approve of me. Which, like, wow, astute analysis there. And,
yeah, I mean, way to go. You've spotted the issue. I'm impressed.
So he's been doing a really good job keeping it a secret, but I have deduced that he doesn't like me very much.
I ferreted this out. It was tricky, but I got there.
Also, can the Kai not just easily spin some like bullshit about how she needs to study evil so they'll be prepared to fight it or something? I feel like Wynn's gift of gab is just totally missing from this episode.
And, you know, I don't know. I feel like Solbor is getting a little bit... like he feels real free to question the Kai and what she's doing and why. I'm like, maybe since you suddenly turned evil and declared you're all in on evil, like send Solbor on vacation and bring in like a new assistant who, like maybe some kid who's just like, yes, Your Eminence, whatever you say, Your Eminence.
So you're saying Solbor is right, but he's also getting a little too big for his britches. So.
I feel like if you're the Kai and your like personal manservant or whatever starts like questioning you, then of course he's also, I guess, Orangian, which I assume is a high office.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, is it better or worse than Vedic? I don't know.
I think it's probably worse than Vedic. I think it's probably like a Monsignor or something like that.
But yeah, and maybe it's just like Solbor knows you too well. So maybe that's not the guy to have around when you've decided to do a complete 180 and try to summon evil.
Yeah, you need to get him a 1 month all paid vacation.
He could probably use it. That guy seems stressed.
Yeah. So yeah, Wynn hesitates a little before opening the book, but Angel is like, no, remember all that stuff we talked about. The Paw Wraiths aren't evil, and they're going to give you lots of power. And Wynn is like, oh, right, and then opens the book.
Right. Power. I love power. Okay, I'm here. I'm on.
But surprise, all the pages of the book are blank. Dukat is upset, but Wynn is like, is this your first time in a TV show? Obviously, you need to read it in the moonlight or speak the Elvish word for friend or something like that. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, she's just like, melon.
Yeah. Sorry, that didn't work, but that was a good thing to try. On Deep Space Nine, we sneak in a little Odo as he and Cisco meet to discuss security protocols. But then Cassidy barges in mad that her bosses at the Bajoran Shipping Authority suddenly gave her a month paid vacation.
I hate when that happens.
I know. It's like, can I date or can I be married to the emissary? But she deduces that Ben called them up and used his emissary influence to arrange this. And Ben says, I never use the word emissary. And I'm just imagining, like, he calls up, he's like, hey, this is Captain Benjamin Sisko, and they're like, yeah, the emissary. We know who you are.
We've heard of you. Yeah.
Outside the office, Odo and Quark watch Ben and Cassidy fight, and Quark says, that's what married couples do. If you're not careful, that could be you and Kira someday. And Odo was like, what? Marriage?
This has never occurred to me. So Ira Bear has a comment about he's a big fan of how this episode mixes the larger war stories with the trivial domestic stories. We like the idea of showing domestic life. In the midst of all the pressure Sisko's under, he still has issues at home. He's still a human being. Cassidy burns his peppers. That hurts. Life is hard. But you should not have to have your peppers burned. So, yeah.
It sounds like Ira Stephen Bear might have like a chip on his shoulder about something.
His peppers got burned recently at home, and he's like, this shouldn't happen to a man who just wants peppers.
The thing clearly said Ira's peppers on it. Like, I don't know how much more clear I could have made it.
I have to get this out by putting it into a show, because I'm a writer and that's what I do.
I will eviscerate her in fiction. Also, I mean, to me it feels like a little bit of a repeated beat, but whatever.
Yeah.
So, down on Bajor, Wynn has checked out all the books on evil she can get her hands on from the library. And Sobor is like, hey, just so you know, the librarians are worried that you've, like, cleared out their entire section on the dark arts. And once again, Wynn is like, yeah, whatever, go away. And also, you go away, Angel. I need to read. And he's like, aw. On Deep Space Nine, Ben gives Cassidy flowers and apologizes for the whole interfering with her job thing, and assures her he got her paid vacation canceled.
Yeah. Just like you want, baby.
Yeah. And then Admiral Ross comes in with some bad news. The Dominion and the Breen have broken through the lines at Chintaka. Remember that place from last season?
So does Admiral Ross work here on the station, or no one's surprised when he strolls in? So
yeah, I mean, I assumed he had an office here at least or something, because he's in charge of the fleet, isn't he? So
I think actually, Martok is in charge of the fleet in this area. He got promoted, and there's that whole thing about paperwork. He's in charge of the whole 9th fleet or whichever fleet it was.
Interesting. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I assume that Admiral Ross has to hang out here a bunch for strategic and stuff. I don't know. But so yeah, Sisko's like, let's get the Defiant ready. So everybody piles into the Defiant, and they get it ready while discussing the importance of the Chintaka system for our reference. And also, O'Brien is mad at Bashir for losing the Travis figurine, giving Worf an opportunity to rub in Julian's childishness some more.
I'm just make a new one or replicate a new one. It's a figurine, dude.
He hand painted that thing.
Yeah. I mean, but no one made you do that. You could be like, hey, computer, replicate me a 2-inch tall exact replica of Travis from the Alamo, and the computer would do that. So
it wouldn't be the same. But once they've purged and cleared the Impulse manifold, initiated the Impulse pre-start sequence, brought the microfusion generators online, collimated the Nadion emitters. I mean, the Breen might have Tuvin syndrome, so it might help to emit some Nadions at them. Aligned and calibrated the dilithium matrix, opened the antimatter injection ports, gotten the emergency life support and damage control system standing by, initialized and activated the autonomous guidance system, verified the astrometric database, loaded and verified the data sets.
Yeah, gotta get those data sets loaded. Yeah. It's important.
Presumably of the astrometric database. Engaged the phaser safeties, brought the field stabilizers online, synchronized the warp plasma flow, brought the nacelles to pre-warp threshold, brought the weapons array online, fully charged the phasers, and loaded the quantum torpedo launchers. They set course and rolled out to the Chintaka system. Back in the Kai's office, Wynn sleeps hunched over an open book while Solbor quietly picks up a bunch of books from her desk.
Yeah, she's probably done with these.
Yeah. Out in the hallway, Solbor runs into Angel, who asks where he's going with those books. And Solbor says, I'm returning these to the library. The Kai is done with them. Don't want any late fees. And Angel says, put them back. And Solbor is like, well, she made me check these out with my own library card. It's 10 cents per book per day. That shit adds up. But Dukat just punches Solbor and takes the books back to Wynn's office.
Suck it, old man. You got punched.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he probably wasn't expecting that. But what can you do?
I think this made Solbor more suspicious of Dukat than ever. But
almost certainly. Our library has no late fees any longer.
Nope.
So
that's
keep
nice.
them as long as you want.
Yep. But Dukat stands creepily in the Kai's office for a second. Then he wakes Wynn up. But sadly, she hasn't figured out the secret to the magic book yet. On Cardassia, Damar hangs out discussing the Chintaka situation with Gull Steve and plotting their presumably simultaneous attack. Gull Steve says they're going to lose many fine soldiers, but Damar says at least they'll be dying for Cardassia. And then Weyoun flies into the Chintaka system battle on the bridge of a Jim'Hadar ship, and Boom Boom Parkins is in there too.
For some reason.
Yep. Weyoun says he's not super thrilled about the Founder being up in the battle lines like this, but I guess she just really wants to see. The Defiant also approaches the battle, anticipation building as they listen to the radio chatter. And then the battle is on. Sisko calls for attack pattern Delta. They launch quantum torpedoes and score a direct and devastating hit on a Breen ship. And then they shoot another Breen ship with something that seems to be less effective than quantum torpedoes.
I mean, you only got so many quantum torpedoes, you know?
Yeah, you gotta save those.
I was watching Star Trek Nemesis right before I started Prodigy.
Uh-huh.
And there's a scene where the Enterprise E is like in this fight with Shinzon's ship, and Worf is like, we're out of photon torpedoes. Like, they've used up all the photon torpedoes that the ship had in stock. And apparently that created quite a stir online, because when I went to look, there was a lot of arguments about, like, does it not have any quantum torpedoes? What the hell? Why are they using photon torpedoes? The Enterprise E has quantum torpedoes. We know. We've seen that. In fact, it may have been, like, First Contact, where the Enterprise shoots that Borg cube, may have been the first time we saw quantum torpedoes.
Yep. We've definitely seen the Enterprise E shoot quantum torpedoes, so
yeah, there's a whole bunch of people posting on, like, Reddit or other places, like, based on that line, what's going on? And then there's always a bunch of people responding, like, well, if you watch earlier in the battle, you see them shoot quantum torpedoes. You can tell because they're blue. So probably they had already run out of those, and then now they were shooting the photon torpedoes, and he's letting them know, hey, we're now out of photon torpedoes. So,
maybe
the whole thing.
Maybe quantum torpedoes are like a kind of photon torpedoes. And when you say we're out of photon torpedoes, that's just like all of them.
Yeah, that was another theory that people had. It's like maybe, and then it gets like, do we know the difference between a quantum torpedo and has that ever been stated on screen? And it gets into a whole thing, but yeah.
Or maybe the writers just didn't care.
Yeah.
As anybody who's watched that movie can probably deduce.
Yeah, that's the meta answer. It's just like, well, the writers knew almost nothing about Star Trek and did not give a crap. So
isn't that the movie where the director thought Geordi was a robot?
I don't remember that, but I would believe that. Yeah. Hold on, director Stuart Baird. Let's see if it says anything about. Yes, apparently LeVar Burton and Marina Sirtis both complained that this guy knew nothing about Star Trek, had not watched even a single episode of The Next Generation.
Nice.
Yeah, that's sad.
Okay, but then the Breen ship fires back at the Defiant with a weapon that I immediately recognize from FTL as an ion gun. It takes down their shields and starts disrupting their systems. Shields are down, weapons are down, piloting is down. The door system is probably down too, so good luck putting out any fires.
Everything is down.
So should have had more layers on your shields, is my analysis.
Oh, that was their phasers that they use on the second Breen ship that hits them. I was like, you were just like, something that works less well than photon torpedoes, or quantum torpedoes. I had to bring it up. I'm like, oh, well, that's their, like, phaser pulse cannons or whatever they're called.
Sure, whatever they were. Although the dialogue makes it sound like they were shooting more quantum torpedoes, but whatever.
Somebody hit the wrong button, and that's why the Defiant gets destroyed.
Yeah. Hate it when that happens.
Spoiler for 5 seconds from now.
But yeah, with everything down, the Breen are now free to wreak havoc with the burst laser and beam weapons. Hull integrity quickly goes down into the red, and it's dropping fast. Sisko sees the writing on the wall and calls to abandon ship, which is sadly something you can't do in FTL.
Oh, man.
And then Sisko's like, I knew I should have bought that flat cannon when I had the chance. And then he pauses to look around the bridge one last time. And O'Brien is like, dude, seriously, we need to go. But Sisko decides to spend even more of this every second counts situation to just stand there. But then he does eventually leave.
I mean, standing there is an important, captain thing.
So it's just my duty. I have to make this really dramatic and poignant. Wayun watches all this unfold from his ship and announces to Boom Boom Parkins that the Chintaka system is theirs. He sees all the small defenseless escape pods trying to get away and is about to order their destruction, but Boom Boom Parkins says, no, let them go so that they can return and spread tales of this horrible defeat and demoralize everybody back home.
I mean, them all being dead would probably also demoralize people, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I imagine Wayun is just going to be like, well, why don't we destroy most of the escape pods and let just a few of them escape? I bet that would be even more terrifying.
I gotta say, I do love the Wayun line where he's just like, after the Defiant explodes dramatically, he's like, poor Captain Sisko. I believe he was quite fond of that ship. Mm-hmm. Like, you get the impression for a moment that, like, Wayun actually cares.
Uh-huh.
And it's so random, and I'm like, oh.
Everybody pays attention to Captain Sisko. Like, I'm sure there's tons of other ships with, like, commanders and stuff, but he's like, oh, that's Captain Sisko's ship.
Well, Wayun's always trying to act like he and Sisko are friends, kind of like
true.
Dukat kept doing, so,
Yeah, didn't he try to recruit Sisko or something one time? So
yeah, I think that was that was him who was like, what if I said that I would give you the entire Federation to be the boss over? And he was like,
oh yeah,
I would say screw you. He's like, yep, that report was right about you.
So I had to try. It was my job. But also, I think Boom Boom Parkins is like, yeah, destroying the escape pods is probably like a violation of the Space Geneva Convention. I don't want to have to go to Space The Hague. Well, back in the Kai's office, Wynn and Angel are taking a break for some coffee and smooching, and then Solbor bursts in and says, get away from her. That man is not Angel Tanan. Angel Tanan died 9 years ago. Also, I had his DNA tested, and he's not even Bajoran, he's Cardassian. Don't ask me where I got the DNA.
Well, he punched me, and so he left, some of those skin cells on me.
I swabbed some of those epithelial cells off my teeth or whatever. I was just trying to imagine Solbor walks in with like a toothbrush. He's like, hey, you need to brush your teeth, Angel? And Angel's like, well, I guess I could. I don't know. And then it's like, oh, here, let me take that for you.
He's just like, don't you before he tells her who it is, like, don't you recognize his face? And and Wynn starts to be like, oh no, oh my gosh, and she puts her hand over her mouth like, oh God, I'm gonna puke. This is not good.
Yeah, he's like, that guy is obviously Gul Dukat. I mean, but yeah, Kai Wynn is like, no, and then she grabs a knife and then yells at Dukat to stay back, and Dukat says, no, don't forget about the love of the Pa Wraiths. And Solbor is like, the love of what? Holy crap! Are you trying to release the Pa Wraiths? He's like, you must be stopped. I'm going to go tell people what's going on, which I now realize I probably should have done before coming in here. And then he turns to walk out the door at a pace not at all matching the urgency of the situation.
No, he's going for a little stroll out the door.
Allowing Kai Wynn to run up and stab him in the back. And then Solbor collapses on the ground, dead.
So she has the knife in her left hand. She reaches out and grabs his shoulder with her right hand. And then a moment later, her left hand comes up and grabs his other shoulder, and then it cuts, and she's knifing him in the back with her right hand. And I was like, wait a second. How did that knife do that?
She did a nifty, knife switch maneuver.
I guess so.
She grew up on the mean streets of the Cardassian occupation. Her knife skills are actually pretty good.
Yeah, fair. And I mean, she stabs him just like one time. It's not even that big a knife. Yeah. He's just like, he's dead like that.
That was a really lethal stab. I don't know if Bajorans have like a really vital organ right there or what's going on. But Wynn turns to Dukat and is like, I can't believe I let you touch me. And that we did all that erotic Kama Sutra stuff. And then she looks over at the evil book and she's like, that book, I must destroy it by stabbing it with this small knife. But then when she brings her knife over the book, Solbor's blood drops onto the pages and they catch on fire, magically revealing the text on the previously blank pages.
And then she's like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess we're good then."
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, we can read the book now." And Wind immediately forgets what she was doing and is like, "So yeah, let's read the book and go release the Pa Wraiths. I'm 100% back on board. Too bad about Solbor, though."
It was super easy for me to be like, let's destroy this evil book and I'm going to go back to being good, when I couldn't read the book and had basically given up on ever hoping to be able to read the book. But now, Pa Wraiths, I always believed in you. Let's go.
It's like, this is a, I mean, we're on the last level now. Let's not quit.
The note here on the ongoing Win and Dukat plot, Bear says, she experiences self-loathing and loss, and you wonder, okay, does she get it now? No, she doesn't. As soon as Dukat explains to her that she can cover up the murder, it's clear that she is the only thing that she's worried about. Mm-hmm. When the smoke clears, however, she's still less tainted than Dukat. Dukat is the master, the manipulator, the liar. They're quite a team.
Yeah, I mean, she's pretty tainted over the course of the series, let's be real, but
I mean, she was never good.
Right.
Like her first appearance in the series, I believe, is when she tries to overthrow the government in a coup to help other guy.
No, her first appearance
she tries to blow up or murder Bareil.
Yeah, when she manipulated that person into trying to assassinate Bareil.
Yeah.
And then she hooked up with what's his face to try to overthrow the Bajoran government. So
yeah.
Back on Deep Space Nine, Admiral Ross promises he'll find Sisko another ship. He just wishes he knew how they were going to neutralize the Breen's ion cannon. And I'm just spitballing here, but I think maybe max out on shields and equip a big missile weapon and target it right on their weapon system first thing. Of course, it would help to have a weapons pre-igniter, but those are expensive.
I do like, we've just lost all of these ships, and he's like, it's fine, we'll find you one.
The main character ship. That's the important one.
Yeah.
Then Kira calls up on comms and is like, hey, I don't know if you guys would be interested in this, but Damar is on the TV declaring Cardassia's independence from the Dominion. I don't know. Could be something to keep an eye on. And sure enough, there's Damar making a speech about how much the Dominion sucks and how now Cardassia is overrun with Jem'Hadar and Vorta and Breen. And when he says Breen, we cut to some Breen watching the news, and one of the Breen turns to the other like, what did we do?
It's true. They haven't done anything overtly like anti-Cardassian that we know of. I like to think that he looks over and he's like, is he talking about us?
It's like, us the Breen? Like, it's like, did you say something mean to Dukat? I thought he liked us. Or Damar?
Yeah, Dukat doesn't like you either. It's fine.
Yeah. But then Damar announces that Cardassian forces have attacked Rondak 3. And Weyoun checks his email and is like, hey, he's right. They did attack Rondak 3. That's really the kind of thing you need to mark as urgent.
Yeah, like, no, this was just like in my spam folder or something. What the hell?
Then he realizes that the cloning facility where the Weyouns is made is on Rondak 3, and I assume it has absolutely no other significance, strategic or otherwise.
Yep.
And Weyoun is like, holy crap, what a dick move.
This is another psychological blow, just specifically and solely directed at Weyoun.
Yep. I like to think that this is Damar, this is all Damar ever really wanted, was to get this one over on Weyoun. Then Boom Boom Parkins says she wants Damar, Gull, Steve, and the rest of the traitors found and eliminated. And Weyoun is like, Thought Gore, I'm putting you in charge of that. And Thought Gore is like, sure, but in order to do that, I'm going to need the key to the silver pantry.
I think Thought Gore should have been like, he's like, go find Damar, I don't care how many Cardassians you have to kill. And Thought Gore's just like, honestly, that might be tough. They all look the same to me. I got to be honest with you. So,
he's like, also, I've been on this planet for 2 days.
Yeah. I don't even know where anything is yet. I was hoping to find a good, Hasperat place.
we see him later, like holding the the map book of like Cardassia City. He's like, okay, this is like, so if I go down this street. Back on Deep Space Nine, Kira confirms the Rondak 3 attack to Sisko and Ross is like, well, this is a happy turn of events. I just hope the Dominion doesn't catch Damar too quickly. And Sisko says, well, we should help him. He may be the key to saving the Alpha Quadrant. The end.
I do like, if you will remember all the way back to when the mutants were here, this was one of the scenarios that Bashir called out to Sisko as being like incredibly unlikely. Was an anti-Dominion coup on Cardassia. And he was like, even if something that insane happened, we would still lose this war. So we're basically on track to lose the war.
Huh. That's a good point. If you believe the mutants' projections.
Right. They also called the Romulans entering the war, but that happened sooner than they predicted because Sisko was like, I'm not waiting for that.
Yeah, see, you can't take into account those like one person like maneuvers, like
or two person. Garrick was involved in that one. But
true.
There's a couple of notes about the overall. This one was written along with the previous 3 episodes as all kind of at the same time. So this is like the first chunk that they wrote of the final part of the series. So I guess we'll see if it jives well with the other chunk that we're going to start next time.
Sure.
We saw the second battle of Chintaka here, which I guess is what it's officially called. And I love the note here that since the Dominion wins, presumably at some stage during or after the battle, AR-558 is either evacuated or taken by force. So like can't forget that those guys were in Chintaka too.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Wasn't AR-558 like a moon of Chintaka or something like that?
It was like a planetoid or like, I don't know. Something floating around in that system. And the final note in here is this episode marks the destruction of the Defiant. The decision to destroy it was not one taken lightly, but Bear explains the ship had become a character that had caught people's hearts and minds. But we felt that something was needed to give the Breen an impactful introduction. And nothing could achieve that quite like the destruction of the Defiant.
Yep.
We wanted to kill the Defiant as a statement on how tough the Breen were. We thought that would rock the characters in the audience. And then it notes, this is similar to when they blew up the USS Odyssey to prove how tough the Jem'Hadar were. So.
Right. Yep. The Defiant is gone forever.
Yep. Goodbye, Defiant. We'll never see you again.
Mm-hmm.
There's an episode of Prodigy where like there's a big Federation fleet, and they're like one of the ships has the Defiant's registry number on it, and I was like, nah, that registry number definitely blew up at Chintaka. Another, or apparently there's like 3 or 4. I read it's as opposed to seeing directly myself because it's a big messy scene, but there's like 3 different Sovereign class ships, and apparently they changed the registry numbers like on the saucers. But they forgot that the registry number is also on the nacelle, and they'd use the Enterprise E model for all of these. So all 3 of the ships say like NCC 1701E on the nacelles, which has led to fan speculation that at least one of those in this scene, although like not specifically called out, at least one of the ships in this giant battle was in fact the Enterprise E, and this is the moment where like Worf is in command of the Enterprise E and it gets destroyed.
Could be. Although it's not his fault, according to him, so.
Well, it wouldn't have been. Like, spoilers for Prodigy. I guess you were warned that we would spoil other things. It's like, there's someone from the future has put a booby trap on this ship that's like, if the second it communicates with anybody else in the Federation, it'll like infect them with this like basically sentient computer virus thing that will make any Federation signature ships, stations, whatever, immediately turn and attack any other Federation signatures. So the kids on this ship have been trying to stay away and like not like figure out a way to contact the Federation without infecting them. And Janeway catches up with them and forces their hand basically, and the Armada gets infected. And they all start shooting at each other. And then it's like, oh, and by the way, like just when you think maybe we can sort this out, it's like, oh, by the way, whenever a Federation ship like comes under attack and is in extreme trouble, it automatically sends out this distress call to any other Federation ships in the area. Uh-oh. And so that's when like those ships then get infected and then fly here to also participate in the battle. So it's just going to continue to like snowball until all the Federation ships are destroyed.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah. So it wouldn't have been Worf's fault really if the Enterprise.
I'll let him off the hook then. I mean, that sounds like a really horrible like thing where a lot of people died, but
Yep.
I'll let Worf have his like comedic little moment where he says that was not my fault. Is Prodigy the one that they took off of Paramount Plus?
It is on Netflix. Yes, they took it off Paramount Plus, and now it's only available. Well, it's available on Netflix, but I canceled my subscription, so instead I bought the seasons when they were on sale on Amazon. So you can buy them on Amazon or watch them for free on Netflix.
Okay, so it's not like a Raised by Wolves situation where it was only on one streaming service, and when they took it off, it's nowhere anymore.
It was at first, and then Netflix picked it up. Okay, so, and there was buzz that Netflix was going to do a third season. I haven't heard anything recently on that. So hold on. Netflix a couple months ago apparently officially announced that they were going to pass on making a season 3 of the show.
Oh, yeah, because that was a fan favorite, wasn't it?
Yeah, it became like a popular. It was like a kids show on Nickelodeon. So, I can understand why it didn't do that well initially, and it did become a favorite of a lot of people. I had a lot of people tell me that it was really excellent, and there's some good stuff in it for sure. Having now finished it, I feel like at least half of it I was just really frustrated with. But because it's one of those things where it's like, I get it, they're kids, they make dumb decisions, but come on.
Yeah.
Like when half of our plots revolve around like, this would be a super easy to resolve situation if our like captain wasn't a complete moron. It starts to grate on me. It's like, just I described to you the situation they're in for most of the first season, or at least half the first season, where it's like, we want to get to the Federation, but we're on this ship that will like infect the Federation and do bad things to them if we get there. What do we do? And I'm just like, well, like go somewhere else to like a different ship and then call the Federation and let them know the situation. But no one ever thinks of that.
Uh-huh.
And at one point they're like, look, we're going to hide the ship and then we'll go and book passage to get to the Federation and then we'll talk to them. Which I'm like, okay, well that's close enough. Then they run into several Starfleet people as they're trying to book passage, including Admiral Janeway. And then they get scared that she'll be mad at them about stealing the ship and some other stuff that happened. So they run away. And I was like, but you could just talk to her and tell her what's up. That's what you're trying to do. But okay. All right then. Yep. So yeah, it started to frustrate me. But season 2 gets pretty interesting. You get some Wesley Crusher action, which I hadn't been expecting, but Will Wheaton really gets to ham it up. It's kind of hilarious, actually.
Nice.
Anyway, that's a big sidetrack from what we're actually talking about.
That's the review of Prodigy.
Yeah, right. Spoiled that for anyone who hadn't watched it, including Fletcher. So there you go.
If it's on Netflix, it's not likely I'm going to be watching it anytime soon, but...
Yeah, I canceled my Netflix, and now Wednesday season 2 is coming out. I'm like, oh.
Anyway, yeah, let's review this episode. What do you think of this episode, which is called The Changing Face of Evil?
Okay, it feels nice to finally start getting some of the payoff that we've been setting up.
Uh-huh.
And maybe, like I said last episode, it felt like we kind of started to see some of that last episode.
Uh-huh.
This feels like, and maybe it's just the fact that these were the big 4 first block. This feels like the payoff to everything, or the beginning of the payoff to everything that we've had these previous 3 episodes of setup. So I really appreciate that. Me personally, I don't need the Cisco Cassidy. Like, some of it was fun, like when she finds out about her vacation and it's like, what? No. Uh-huh. It's fun to make fun of that, at least.
Sure.
Like, oh no, paid vacation, how dare. I don't need that, but I guess the Cisco Cassidy story was big in the first 3 episodes of this block, so we couldn't just let it go entirely. But everything else, I felt like we were firing on a lot of cylinders here. Although I guess I can also say, as much as as Bashir and O'Brien are fun, I don't care about their Alamo model at all. Maybe if at one point they'd been like, here's an episode of Bashir and O'Brien fighting the Alamo in the holodeck. Like, just go all in on it and show it. Maybe I would care more about that, but I really don't. So,
like a big budget epic Alamo battle episode.
Yes, that would be great, right?
I don't know how necessary it would be, but
no, not necessary at all, unless you want me to care about the Alamo model later.
True.
But anyway, other than that little stuff that I'm like, okay, that's fine. I just don't care. I feel like it's all gold here.
Mm-hmm.
Where the battle where we blow up the Defiant and the Breen have turned the tables so thoroughly with this weapon that nobody ever knew existed. Maybe if you had that all this time, you could have been doing more than you've been doing.
It just never occurred to them to, like, invade or anything.
I guess it's none of my business. You guys do you.
Right.
But, I love that. I love upsetting the status quo by, like, making Cisco abandon the Defiant and blowing it up. That is a great thing to do. Not at the end of the show, but like just a few episodes before the end of the show. Like, oh, stuff has gotten serious.
Yep.
I like the attack on Earth. I thought that we probably could have shown a little more of that and the consequences and, like, people dealing with the fact that, like, oh, we thought that this was impregnable, and it turned, and, like, several of us are from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
This could have serious emotional impact. I feel like we actually didn't show as much of that. Like, we maybe even dropped the ball a little bit on showing the impact of that. But a lot of good stuff in this episode. I like the Damar stuff. New guy, I can take him or leave him at this point, but I understand from the notes, like, what his purpose is moving forward.
Right.
Wayoon, always great.
Sure.
And I love the pettiness of Damar going after the cloning facility. It's just terrific. This is a high up episode for me. I feel like it's approaching Captain. I don't know if I would put it all the way at Captain. I think I'm. It's right there on the cusp for me, and I'm trying to. You know what? I'm gonna go the full way. I'm gonna give it a Captain.
Oh wow! All right.
I think it's an excellent episode that pays off really well. The stuff that we've spent these 3 episodes before setting up.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good episode. Like, I don't mind the little, like, down moments, so much. Like, they're kind of pointless, but they're relatively, like, minor, so no big deal. I was sure that at some point you would have some note about where that Alamo model came from, because it looks like they borrowed it from, like, some Alamo enthusiast or something, but
I didn't even think about. I did think about, like, how did they get this in here?
Uh-huh.
Why did Quark let them put it in here?
Right.
And why do we need it to be this big? Like, there's a lot I could say about the Alamo model. That particular question had not occurred to me.
But yeah, I mean, we're moving along. It feels like we're in, like, full gear now.
Yep.
So I liked the Damar and Wynn stuff mostly. The
Ducat, yeah.
I mean, it was a little, I feel like, dumb that they just had the Breen attack Earth to show that we need to take the Breen seriously, and then that never has any more consequences. So for me, nothing really, like, nothing. I feel it's pretty solidly Commander. Nothing tempts me to bring it up to Captain, but it is a pretty just a good we're in it now, we're going type episode, which is, definitely at some points earlier in the season was what I was craving. So
it's funny because I think the deciding factor for me was I looked back at our previous ratings and I was like, I think I've been a little bit stingy with captains this season so far, so maybe I'll let this one go there.
Yeah, sometimes you're like, yeah, you know what, I'll throw it a bone or whatever. But we can call it there unless you have any final thoughts.
No. So
yeah, that's our discussion of The Changing Face of Evil. Thanks for listening. If you like that one, maybe you'll like our discussion of whenever the first time we went to Chintaka was, which I think it was at the end of last season, like the Tears of the Prophets or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, because they went to Chintaka and Jadzia got murdered.
Oh, yeah. Dukat showed up and he was like, hey, no one's here.
Or no one will be here in a second. Boom!
But yeah, you can find those past episodes where you're listening to this. You can go to the YouTube channel if you want to leave us a comment. But my name is Fletcher. I'm about to say goodbye as Data.
Peace out.
We look forward to seeing you next week on Undeclared Bajor. But remember, always leave a few survivors to tell the tale.
I certainly do.